Beautiful, beautiful shot. It's a beautiful shot, that camera shot of Jeremy. Beautiful shot here on Extra Bases.
I can't even see it, but I like it already.
Well, you've seen it before.
I have seen it before.
We are back. A lot has happened since we last spoke here.
When was that?
Couple of weeks ago.
Was it 2 weeks ago already?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Time. It's time of year.
Of course, the last podcast was centered around Alex Bregman and potential suitors. And since then, Ken Rosenthal reporting that Tim Britton projects a 7-year, $189 million contract. Rosenthal says, I suspect that Bregman and his agent are aiming higher, specifically at a deal closer to the 11-year, $350 million contract extension Manny Machado signed with the Padres in February of 2023.
How old's Alex now? 30?
30.
No, he's not getting that. And that's great. Scott Boras has been, and I am certainly not insulting the guy. He's got a track record that's probably second to none. He has, he's whiffed recently in some of these evals.
He has,
and he's gotten putting people in missing spring training in bad situations, and got these people drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit with what they think their value is. You know, Scott's good at driving the market up, but he's good at he used to be able to convince people what the value is. One of the things about analytics, and I'm not a huge fan of, I think they overdo it, is there is this control against these long contracts and this bigger type of money. You said Britton was what, 7 and 189?
that was the projection, yes, 189.
So I would see 7 years, but I would see closer to 200 million. Okay. And for me, if I'm Alex Bregman, I get 7 and 200 with options behind it. We did this with KHOU. Okay. This was kind of with KHOU is that you figured you were going to get the first 7 years are going to be good. And it was a 10-year deal. The last 3 years were right. And that's what happened. First 5, 6 years were good. 7 was okay. 8, 9, 10, not so good going to the house. If Alex Bregman signs a 7-year deal, but it's a 10-year deal with options that can make it 300 million, he takes it. For me, 7 years in one spot, opt-outs at a certain point, all the creative bells and whistles that we do today, we'll call it the robo contract because everybody's got it. It's just on robot speed. Opt out after 4 years, has to opt in for another 2 or another 3. After 7, there's a vesting option, another vesting option, the performance bonuses, and then you can get it up to whatever it is. But the guaranteed money for me is 7 and 200 with a chance to get to 10 and 300.
Of course, Astros extended a qualifying offer to Bregman, which when you're making $30 million and they offer you the qualifying offer for 1 year, which was around what, 21, 22?
Something like that.
Of course, he's going to decline it.
Yeah.
And then the Astros will get a draft pick should he sign elsewhere before the next first-year player draft. It's interesting. I went through and looked at the past players from the Astros who declined qualifying offers and the picks they got from those drafts.
Enlighten me.
It was very interesting. One of the players who signed, the Astros ended up not getting any compensation for him.
Who's that?
You have no idea?
No,
well, I'm not surprised. I didn't either. I forgot about it.
No clue.
It was Dallas Keuchel.
Really?
Yes, because he did not sign prior to the next draft.
Yeah, it was after the draft. It was White Sox signed him?
Was it? I think it was the Braves.
Was it the Braves sign? I thought it was the White Sox. Yeah, they signed him after the draft. It was tied to the comp pick, and he had set up the first half of the year.
It was 2018, and it was the Braves. He signed for 1 year, $13 million.
Wait a minute.
And the qualifying offer that year was 17.9.
Are you sure it was 18 or was it 19?
Well,
because
it was 8. Excuse me. It was 18. What did I say?
You said 18.
Yeah, it was 18. I'm looking right here.
Then
MLB.com has it.
What year did Steve Pearce hit that? What year did Keuchel pitch at home? Steve Pearce was playing for the Red Sox, right?
Keuchel was 18.
So when did he sign with the Braves?
19.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So
We're saying the
it
same
was
thing.
the 18 free agent clause.
Got it. We're saying the same thing. Yeah, because I remember in 18 he came in and I was standing with you.
Yeah.
And it was like 4 innings of card. And I was like, okay, we're gonna leave him out there. No, we're gonna go get him now.
And I think you made the comment that ball is still traveling.
I said ball game right there. I said ball game series. We're done. Let's go to the house right now. Steve Pierce hit that ball. He, to borrow the expression, he tattooed it so far, and the thing ended up over the train tracks, and the whole stadium went flat. But I remember that in 2018 because Red Sox ended up winning the World Series that year.
2020, George Springer signs with the Toronto Blue Jays, 6 years, 150. And the Astros compensatory pick the following draft, Chase McDermott,
who
I think made his major league debut this year for the Orioles. I think
it's a quality Chris Gross pick. So I got a question for you. Springer was here through 2020 in the pandemic year, right? So you're saying this because I remember him playing in the pandemic year for the Astros. So 21, 2, 3, and 4. Man, that's almost over. He's got 2 years in Toronto, and that's it.
McDermott pitched one game this year, did make it to the major leagues. He was part of the Trey Mancini deal with the Rays, that deal.
Where's Trey now?
He's with the Cubs.
Yeah, he was. He got like
Did he go to the Reds?
I don't know. I remember getting some Astros fans were upset with me when I said he wasn't going to play every day. It was a filler. It was just a piece. They got livid.
Yeah. And an Orioles fan too.
It's hard work being right.
All right. So the next year, so after Springer, the next year,
they decided to sign Lance McCullers. Sorry.
Is Carlos Correa.
Yeah, Twins.
And their compensatory pick was Andrew Taylor, who I believe is one of their better prospects. He was drafted number 80 overall.
Okay.
And then the next year, they've lost a lot of guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I skipped one. I skipped Garrett Cole.
In 2020.
I skipped Garrett Cole.
19.
He's
been in New York that long?
Mm-hmm.
20
was his first season.
5 years?
Alex Santos. And that was a James Click pick in 2020 because...
Is it a pick to click?
but we talked to a scout earlier this year or during the season who wasn't on Alex Santos, but then saw Alex Santos in a different role as a reliever and thought, okay, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
he was not protected, so he's available in the Rule 5.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who weren't protected. I was looking at the Rule 5. Took a little different interest in it this year than I have in the past.
Well, you've got a lot of guys that now have come through your program that some guys.
Yeah, that was why. Yeah, that's why. We had the organization, our organization, Future Star Series, had 6 guys added to the roster.
Okay.
6. We had Markevian Tink Hentz. We had Zach Veen. We had Marco Raya. Ashmore just sent me the list. Petey Halpin, Franco Alamon. That's 5. And somebody else in there. 6 guys. It was good. It was good to see that. And we've had some guys starting to arrive. Of course, Dylan Cruz in the big leagues already, and Soderstrom's in the big leagues already. You saw him, KP. So Tiedemann's got to be close. He wasn't on. He has another year. But Ricky's close too. He comes back from surgery.
So also, I would like to now say, Jeremy, I'm a bit worried
about.
I'm a bit worried that someone is tapping my phone or bugging my phone and bugging our phone calls.
What's that?
What did I say to you on Tuesday?
Said a few things to me on Tuesday, Jason.
On Tuesday, we were talking about a former Astro who we've just mentioned.
Yes.
I mentioned it.
Yes.
About how, hey, maybe this could be an option.
Oh, I do remember this conversation. Yeah, so what I'm talking about, yeah.
And then the next day I look, what is this, Climbing Tales Hill? Astros should avoid surprise trade reunion with former star to replace Alex Bregman. I said this to you.
You did.
24 hours before this hits.
Jason, well, first of all.
And here's the one thing, Jeremy. This site is not down with this.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what the situation is with the Twins. I believe the Twins have come out and said we're not interested in dealing Carlos Correa. Who knows whether they are or whether they aren't. But when a team is motivated, what do they often do, Jeremy? When you have a guy with a contract like that, when they're motivated, when a team is motivated to move somebody, what motivates them or what helps them?
Salary flexibility.
Yes. And hey, can you take some of this salary off our books?
That's right. That's right. And the Astros are good at that.
Here's a bit of a proposal for the crew. Kick the tires on Carlos Correa because I've got the numbers. He makes 37 million next year, 33 million in 26, 32 in 27, 31 in 28, and then there's a bunch of options after that.
Kind of like the deal I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
So if you could float a couple of prospects to Minnesota, now I don't know what's left, but maybe they're interested in somebody or two.
I'll play.
How much salary would you say you'll take on?
For the Astros?
Yeah.
20. 20.
You'd be saving 10 million
Save 10
from what
million.
you paid Alex Bregman the year before. Now I know there's injury histories with both guys, Bregman and Carlos, more so Carlos long term. But he had a good year last year. He just wasn't on the field. But
yeah.
Given what you have to work with right now, I think that is a very interesting proposal to offer to take some salary, to take on some salary. You get it. The Twins would be happy because they won't be on the books for that huge amount if indeed they are interested. And I don't know if they are. You've also got to make sure that Carlos is willing to move to third base. To come back to Houston, I think he might. What do you think of this, Jeremy?
Well,
or is it just a pipe dream?
I think it's a pipe dream because the Twins are, they're competitive every year. They're in it to a point. Whether or not they get over the hump or not is another story, but they're competitive. Correa has to move to third base anyway. His foot, his age, his time. That's kind of what happens. And it doesn't matter if it's Minnesota or here. He doesn't need to be playing short much longer.
Here's the title of the article. Twins say they plan to keep Carlos Correa and the core, but also an open mind on trades. That's from the Athletic Minnesota.
Wow.
Moving him off short, I think, would potentially help him injury wise.
I'm moving him off short anyway.
Okay.
It's over. It's time to move on to a different spot. In high school, he certainly proved everybody wrong. But in high school, a lot of people thought he would have to go to third base, and A-Rod moved to third base when he was the best defender in the big leagues. So it's time for Correa to go to third and let the bat play. That's going to carry him the rest of the way. Carlos has had a fabulous career short. He's done a great job. But it's time to do that. Now that would make sense from a standpoint of letting Bregman walk, but the Twins think they're competitive, and I'd be surprised to do that deal. So, and I'm not saying they're not competitive either.
What happens if the Astros say we'll take 26, 27, and you only got 10 million next year on Carlos Correa and a couple of prospects?
It depends if they think they can win.
Yeah.
If the Twins think they can win, they're going to keep it. The Central is the Royals are on the come again.
Tigers.
White Sox are terrible.
Tigers though.
Yeah. Let's see. Twins, Tigers, White Sox, Royals. Who else? Missing somebody? Indians, Guardians. So you've got you got a position where Guardians, Royals, and Tigers are good. The White Sox have let's just say a lot of work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that. And then you have to figure out what you're going to do with where you fit within that. And it's not dissimilar to the two what happens in the AL East and the AL. I mean, different talent, but the AL East and the NL West, for example, Tampa Bay was one of the best in baseball, and this year they were what, fourth out of five, right? I mean, obviously the Yankees went to the World Series. Baltimore was in the playoffs.
Fourth out of five, two
Fourth out of
games
five.
under 500,
Yeah.
80 and 82.
So, I mean, that's how that is on the West. You've got, and NL West was the other division I said, right? You got the Dodgers who won it. You got the Diamondbacks who were in the World Series last year. You got the Padres in the playoffs this year. You got the Rockies who are in White Sox area land.
And then you have the Giants,
Giants.
which are kind of in transition right now.
The Giants are interesting. And I'll say it this way, and I'm gonna say this because I know I will address it now one time because I have to, because we're going to talk baseball and the Astros. We're talking all the different teams and where the divisions fit. I think the Giants are actually a potential landing spot for Alex Bregman.
You've mentioned that before.
I don't think that it happens now. Might be a little expensive. You know, Willie Adames is expensive. It depends how the roster.
What do you mean now? Like,
what I mean is that he's a landing spot, but at this moment in time, I don't know that that's what Jack Zorenzik's saying, by the way. At this moment in time,
are you saying on November 20-ish compared to December 20th?
I'm saying the Giants have a few ways they can go.
Okay.
And they need a shortstop. Bregman's not a shortstop, but you can find different ways to pick up a defender or maybe acquire somebody from a different club by giving up something off your roster that you have a surplus on and then going to sign a Bregman to play second. Chapman's going to play third base. Remember, Bregman will move positions. He's not going to play short. It's an option. Is it option A? No. Is it option B? Probably not. Is it option C? Never know. Adames is probably the guy they're going to want to target, and he's going to be expensive. He's going to be expensive, right? And then you've got KHOU out there who's going to need a home and would fit well in San Francisco. So you don't know where that's going to go. I'm saying this to say the Astros are kind of in that same no man's land in the AL West. They're neck and neck with Texas, really, is where they are. Seattle, you never know what you're going to get. The Angels are the same as the other clubs we've mentioned. I feel like I missed in Oakland. Okay. So the Astros are still in that 1, 2, 3 bucket with Seattle, Texas and themselves. And so they have to figure out where they land. If you look at these other divisions, though, that can go up or down real quick. And the Giants was what I was using as an example. And what I was going to address is, I can't believe I'm going to say this, special assistant to the president of the New Balance Baseball Future Star Series, Bobby Evans, has been rehired by the San Francisco Giants. And I could not be happier for Bobby.
Is he no longer then a member of your organization, or he just becomes like part of the advisory board?
Well, he's my advisor anyway. I mean,
okay.
Bobby and I talk, and the game knows this. And those of you that act as if we don't have any kind of reach, let's say, Bobby and I talk daily. I mean, we talked on tonight a couple times, and it's like that regardless if he's a Giant or a New York Football Giant or a roller giant, or
I think you talk to Bobby more than you talk to me of late, but
or he's the Giants and Jack and the Beanstalk. I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, Bobby and I talk all the time, and Jim Duquette and I, we talk all. The three of us are very, very close. And no, Jason, I don't talk to him when I talk to you. I talk to him almost every day too. But when it comes to I'm very happy for him. He'll still be involved. He's very close to me. He's got some opportunities to win a championship. You know, there are questions coming my way that are not fair to ask. I'm gonna say that now.
Okay.
You know, and there's not. I appreciate what people are thinking, the ones that are not blind, but they're just not fair. Not fair to ask. You know, it's Buster Posey he's in a very good position. He's going to be putting a good group together. Randy Wynn's a smart guy. Randy a smart guy, and Bobby going back to mentor him. And I worked with Zach in Milwaukee, and of course Michael Holmes, their scouting director. So they're in a good place.
Jeff Barry too.
Yeah, Jeff Barry. I don't know Jeff. I did a couple of
very successful in his other life.
A couple of cursory calls with him, but the other guys I know.
Yeah.
And the Giants are being repositioned to do some damage, but they're a couple years away. That ties into back what I was talking about the Twins and where the Astros fit. These clubs are kind of still all in that space of one or two players moves them in a certain direction, or they go the other way and they tear it down and they fight their way back to the top. Where the Giants are in an awkward spot, and I don't know the Twins' salary position, but it could be similar. I know the Astros are in the same place. They're not quite good enough to get that extra player to put them over the top, and they've got some really upside down money that has put their system in a weakened position. Their system's in a weakened position. They're going to address that by letting some of the air into some of these guys' sails to go work, right? And they should. But when it comes to the Astros, same spot, rebuilding a system. Bottom third system, bottom 5 system with them. fighting for position 1 to 3 in that spot to get into the playoffs potentially. You know, and aging, right? The Giants are unbalanced. They're an imbalanced roster, and the Astros are balanced. They're just getting older. So to find a fit for Correa and to find a fit for Bregman isn't that simple. With clubs like that, and that's why we talk about, you know, bringing Correa back here. It's not, you know, so you never know where that's going to be. Correa just may not be a fit here, just because where they are. Bryce Matthews could be the fit here. You know, you don't know. So all of that to tell you that it's musical chairs in the game has a lot to do with where you find yourself now, next year, and the year after. After that, kind of tough to go sign a marquee free agent because you don't know really where you're going to be. You need to be competitive in the year you're in or the year after, or it's a wasted sign.
Houston Astros number 30 in MLB Pipeline's farm system rankings, and the Giants are number 23.
Yeah, so there you go. And where are the Twins?
The Twins,
Bet they're top 15. Sean does good jobs.
He does. Yeah, he does a really good job. Jeremy, they are numero dos.
Twins?
Yeah.
I told you, Sean does a good job.
Walker Jenkins, Brooks Lee, Emmanuel Rodriguez.
Yeah, Twins do a good job, man.
They have 3 players in the top 25.
You know, Toronto's in kind of a similar spot too, as the clubs we mentioned. You know,
Yeah.
just not.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah, they've had some bad drafts, and they've had some. You know, Mark Tremuta been promoted over there to be the scouting director again. That was the.
And then you've had some like mysterious things happening to like Manoah.
Yeah.
I mean, falling off a cliff, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch what Tram's going to do. I heard Tram is my dude. He reached out when he got promoted, man. I'm so happy for him.
All right, real quick. Let's read a couple of comments, and then I've got one more thing I want to touch on. We had a few comments on our last podcast. The Gore 44 says, these guys play their prime here and leave. People make a big deal. They retire when they leave Houston. They're a part of a team. They leave and just become a part. Just left on the floor. Best of luck, Breggy, getting richer. So, yes.
I don't mind that comment at all.
No.
Good.
And then someone wrote, who cares? And another one said he should retire and give up his ring. I imagine that's someone who believes that, you know, the trash can thing. So you've had not numerous, but you've had different scouting titles, right?
Yeah.
During your time working with major league clubs.
Yep.
2 weeks away, roughly, from the winter meetings. Can you give me an idea of maybe one of your roles and what you would be doing this time of year for people who aren't familiar with what a person in that role does when there's no baseball going on other than winter league and obviously the fall league wrapping up?
Something I've done before or something I would be doing in this point in my career?
No. What I'm saying is if you were still with X team, you would be doing in what role? Like what? Give me
so the area scout.
Okay, area scout.
So if I'm an area guy, I'm doing home visits. I'm meeting with the prospects that I have from the best prospect on my list to as far as I can go.
So guys that were juniors in high school last year, they're rising senior. Well, they are seniors now.
Colleges,
or going to
entire group.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going to fall ball practices.
Yeah. Boxing guy. I mean, not now. Well, in Texas, they're probably still doing a little bit. But basically, I'm done, and I'm lining up with let's say University of Houston. Let's say they have like 8 guys that are eligible that I have some interest in. I'm going to go meet all 8. I'm going to test them. I'm going to do my stuff I need to do.
Where are you going to do that?
At University of Houston?
Just after a practice or something?
You set time with coaches to make sure they're okay with it. They'll tell you when to do it, and you go and you get it done.
Will they do it with other teams too, or do you do it collectively?
Well, if you have interest.
Will you do it collectively? You don't do it collectively.
Individually. Now, Vanderbilt, they have something where they have the day.
Like a scout day.
Yeah, and everybody goes in, and they kind of get their own spot, and people move through it. But when I was doing as an area guy, when I did it, you would call Jason Bristol was head coach Steve Smith was head coach at Baylor. Okay. Wayne Graham was a guy at Rice. David Pierce was the assistant.
Yep.
And I'd say, hey guys, I need to come by and meet with Mike Ojala and Steven Saltzbaugh and Ryan Berry and Brock Holt. Okay, when do you want to do that? Well, you tell me when it's good for you. And let's go do that. And then I'd have my time and I'd go and I'd do that. And then Texas A&M, I call Childress and Jason Hutchins and Justin Seeley. Hey, when do you want to do that? Right. And then at Texas, it was Augie at the time, I think. So, hey, Augie, or Skip Johnson would handle it. What do you want to do? So I meet with all the guys there. As a cross checker, it's different. You're not meeting with players unless it's a top priority guy and the organization wants you to go. Seattle wanted us to do that. Mac wanted us to do that. I wasn't too crazy about it, because I felt like the area guy had to know his player. I could talk to the player later if we had a lot of interest as the year went on. But I went anyway, and you would go do the top meetings, but you would get your list right. You would watch a video and you'd get your you double check your follow reports and you'd organize your stuff and you get your schedules and you manage the spring and you read the area guys lists and their reports. That's what a cross checker does to understand where they're at, right? And so you're making your own list that you have, but you're looking at the guy. So we'll take the West Coast and the Midwest. I did them both. So South Texas, North Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, all the guys that they have, I'm putting in, reading how they have them. I'm matching them up where I've got them, and then I'm going to see how I'm going to go see them. I work down guys' lists, so I'm preparing my spring. In the roles that I have done, that would be doing today, the ones that have come my way, which I'll give you without giving any titles, that I have said no to, and some that I have considered, or considering.
Okay.
I'm looking at our organization from a player development standpoint. And I did this in both the other clubs, so I'm not familiar, or all three other clubs actually, so I'm pretty familiar with it anyway. I'd be evaluating the coaches. I'd be evaluating the processes. I'd be evaluating
evaluating the minor league coaches, or
well, everything.
Everything.
Right? Because organization is going to have a culture, right? So whatever the president of baseball operations or GM decide is the culture of the organization, the people within that organization have to achieve it. Scouting has to have. It's scouting's job to have the vision what a player can become. It's player development's job to make that a reality. So
yes,
if I'm sitting there and I've got coaches somewhere that we're misfiring, we're not valuing the right metrics, or we're not seeing the right results, or we're not moving guys through the system properly. My job is going to be to understand the personnel in the organization. That's what I'm doing. What do we really have here? Do we have an impact player? Do we have an average guy? Do we have a below average piece? Do we have what's the fallback role? How are we going to maximize that for the organization? What are we doing to move guys to the big leagues to win a championship? That's all part of player personnel. That's all part of understanding what that is. I'm looking at the international signing class. I'm trying to figure out what we're doing over there. I'm looking at, and I've done that here with the stuff we had to do for the world side. I'm looking at the lowest levels of the minor leagues and figuring out what we're doing at the complex. I'm looking at other trade targets or free agent acquisitions to help have the best information or best understanding of what personnel we need to put the roster together, roster construction, lineup construction. It's all part of player personnel, right? And you do that by talking to, for me, I have in this organization, I got a player development head, I got scouting, I've got somebody who does international. I'm talking to all of them about not just our events and how we're going to get there, but what the flow is, the checkpoints, the development side of it, how they're getting better. What are we going to do with, how are we evaluating them? What's the long game? Where are we starting? Where are we stopping? And in that role, even though I'm sitting at the top of that chain, those guys have to report to me to bring that in so I can make a decision on who we're going to invite, where we're going to put them, and what the events look like at the end and with a finished product. Does that make sense? If I was working for a club in today's day and age, that's what that would be. It would be the amateur side of the top guys, making sure I'm understanding where the scouting director and the department's at. It would be the player development side and the process and the prospects and who we can expect to make jumps when, what our forecast is for that, where we need to add, who we're going to move off our roster potentially, just my opinions of that, international signings and how that all ties into guys moving through the system to grow your own product. It's a lot. You go into the Rule 5 in winter meetings, you go to the Rule 5, and the idea in that is to pick up pieces that either can help your roster right away, right? Or guys that are slipped through the cracks that other clubs haven't evaluated well. The Astros have done a great job in evaluating players that are undervalued somewhere else, especially pitching, and bringing them here and helping them get better. So you want to find ways to do that. And in that situation, you're going to find role players. You're not going to find a whole lot of impact. You're going to find guys that can help, and maybe guys don't swing and miss a lot, or guys that can play short but a little bit behind, or like Mauricio Dubon as the next giant was undervalued there, came to Houston, did well, big league player. Still, finding guys like that is part of the gig that you're in, and that's what I'll be doing today.
One thing I think that's interesting, having known some people in the coaching ranks, professional, minor league, that when a trade is going to be made, there's typically some discussion about, hey, who did you like from this other team's AA staff, or because you were in AA? Is that one of those things that happens organically, or as a scout, you have a list of guys maybe from other teams, or you just have them in here when called upon, you have them in here. You don't necessarily have them on paper.
Well, in pro scouting, it's different than amateur scouting, and the fact that these guys just finished products and the levels.
Well, that's what I'm talking about is pro. Yeah,
the levels of expectation to get to a finished product rather are different from when they are amateurs and have no experience versus when they go in and play. Pro scouts have the same formula as amateurs do, meaning they have lists and they have coverage and they have reports to write. So you would look at your pro scout who has the AL West, let's say, right? And he would list the teams he's got in the AL West. And that's, some people do it divisions, people do teams, just AL West for this point, for this conversation. And he's going to list out the guys he's got with the Colorado Rockies from AAA to A-ball, right? And he's going to go ahead and show you what he's got. And he's going to say, I've got Jason Bristol in the 3 spot. I got Jeremy Booth 9th. This guy can probably leapfrog this guy with this.
Got Drew Romo.
Yeah, that type of stuff. And then your pro scouting director and the assistant in the pro scouting department is going to organize all that, help you find different targets, and then you're going to go cherry pick, let's say, right? You're going to go target, headhunt a little bit, and you're going to go get extra looks on those guys and decide what you want, get multiple reports on players you identify you may want later. And once you've done that, then you can make decisions in the room. Then you give them the best information to the general manager, your personnel departments, your player development people, as far as what they can do, should you acquire, and of course, whoever's making the final decision.
All right. Thank you for that. I don't know if everybody knows that stuff. I mean, a lot, it depends on you out there. I mean, if you're in the game, you obviously know, but
I'm washed up, Jason.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not quite sure when we'll get to the next podcast because we've got the holidays coming up. Some of us have vacations. You've got the baseball winter meetings.
Who's got a vacation? Oh. Okay. Must be nice.
All right, everybody. Leave your comments, concerns, and everything else below. We'll take any of your questions. Until next time, for Jeremy, I'm Jason. As always, thanks for listening to Extra Bases. Thanks for watching Extra Bases. We appreciate it. Till next time. See you.